This video is going to be about men paying for ladies on initial dates, the pros and the cons. So, in olden times, men would court women by paying for them on dates. And that was because women were, during those ages, women didn't have an ability to make money. The man made the money. And the relationship was typically the woman staying home with the kids, and the man worked and provided for the family. It started changing, I think in the 70s, it started really changing with women working more. But this kind of little courtship ritual has been maintained to this day by many women, even though today women are working and making their own money. And among the millennials, that's people under 30s, if I have that term correct for millennials, women are out earning men because more women have gone to college than men. We are in a knowledge economy where higher paying work doesn't require physical strength as it used to. And so there is more of financial equality. So men are starting to think, well, you make as much money as I do, so why should I pay? And a lot of women haven't liked that because they want the man to pay. But why? Now I'm going to tell you why I never ascribed to that model. Even from this is just my own personal belief. Even when I was in my 20s, my sister and I would go out to the bars and she would get guys to buy her drinks and then she'd just walk off. It's like, well, he wanted to buy me a drink. What's the problem? I think my sister had, to this day, even though she makes a lot of money, my sister is very successful, she still likes men to pay for little things. And I think it comes, in her case, from a father wound because she always felt like not loved enough by her father. And to her, it's like a shadow, like, pay for me to prove that you love me. She makes a lot of money, but she will get in arguments with boyfriends about who's paying for the gas or who's paying for the groceries. So there's a wound there. I'm just pointing out, I don't want to pick on my sister, but there's a wound there. Like, why do you need this guy to pay? It's to prove something. It's an unmet need from childhood. Other women, I think, are still kind of reminiscing about the courtship phase of the 50s, and they haven't made peace with the new reality, which is kind of painful to accept. But here's the other problem. Okay, so anyway, I didn't want to do that because I didn't want to use men. That's the thing. I didn't want to use men, so I would buy my own drinks because I didn't want to just have some guy buy me a drink when I had no intention of talking to him. It's called using. But a lot of women, like my sister, don't think of it as using because there are still women today who will let men buy them things or take them to dinner, even though they have no romantic interest in that man at all, thinking, well, he offered and I just accepted. He wants to pay and I'll let him. I don't think that's fair because deep down we know that they're paying for us not because they love paying for people and they're paying for it's not like they're paying for the whole bar and you happen to be there. They're paying for you because they like you or they want to get to know you or they want to impress you. So it's not genuine to accept that. My ex-husband always paid for me from the very beginning and it made me feel very safe and protected. But here's the downside. I was a stay-at-home mom and he was the provider. But here's the downside. He resented that. He paid. He didn't complain too much, but he resented that. He didn't tell me he resented it. Here's the problem, guys. don't pay if you don't want to, because if you're doing it, the lady may think you want to. If you don't want to, don't pay or say something, because I didn't know, or I overlooked it, or I didn't know how much he resented it, but it came out in our relationship. And living with someone who resents you sucks. Now we have, and it also made me feel helpless and powerless. Even now, if I go out on a date with a guy and he pays, I feel like this little girl, like daddy's paying. Ladies, be honest. Isn't there a part of you that wants him to pay because you feel like a little girl and daddy's paying for you? Be honest, be honest. You're looking for daddy to take care of you. He's not your daddy. Today, if to have an equal partnership, there has to be a power balance. And when guys talk about body count, I can have a higher body count than you, there's no power balance. And when one person is paying for the other person, there's no power balance, because money is power and the person paying has more power. So if you want to be in a powerless situation, let a guy pay. Your power, now ladies, you've taken your power away, in my opinion. I'm just talking about early dates. When you know someone, it's nice to take turns paying, like I do with my friends. We take turns paying. Why should a man pay for the woman, but when I go out with my friends, they don't always pay for me? What is it about a relationship that makes women feel like the man should pay? Well, what are you giving him? I'll get to that in a second. Let's stay with the powerless. So there's a powerless feeling, there's a helpless feeling, and when I was married, there was also a, who am I without him? Could I even take care of myself? Now, early on when we were dating and we were both in college and we had part-time jobs, we would take turns paying. I would pay for him, he would pay for me. But when it came to the big things like trips or buying our house, he definitely was the one paying. And we had a very traditional relationship, which I kind of like, but the financial part wasn't good because he didn't like paying. But even if he had liked paying, there was a loss of power because I couldn't leave him. One of the reasons I didn't leave him was because, and one of the reasons I married him to begin with, was because he was taking care of me financially. There were many times I wanted to leave, but I didn't, because I was still in college and I couldn't afford to move out and get my own place. But that's why I stayed initially. I'm not saying I have any regrets, but I'm saying there's a loss of power because I can't leave. I'm stuck. I'm helpless in that sense. But even paying on dates, it sets up that same dynamic. The man has the money and the woman is helpless and powerless. Now, some people will say it's a nice romantic gesture, and it can be. For example, if, say that you've known this guy for a long time, you've been at work together, working together, and he'd be like, I would love to take you out. And he genuinely wants to take you out, and you accept, and he doesn't expect anything. Let's talk about the expectation. Imagine now, ladies, being the man. We have to get in the other person's shoes. How would you feel? Imagine being a lesbian dating a woman. Imagine you're a lesbian, or imagine you're a man and you're doing the courting. Just imagine. And now imagine you see someone that you want to ask out, and you're taking them to dinner and you're paying. Be honest. Do you want to pay? Do you actually want to pay? Be like, I love that I can pay for this person. And what do you expect in return? Let's be honest. What do you expect in return? If you're a man, pretend you're a man, you're going to want sex or some kind of sexual contact. If you're a lesbian, maybe sex, maybe you want her appreciation, maybe you think she'll feel closer to you or bonded to you or appreciate you, because that guy had to work for that money. And it means something. It means something because you don't want to pay. You don't want to pay, so it means something. There's a value to it. You don't want to pay for him. You don't want to pay your half, but you want him to pay. Why? Why should he pay? Don't go into your mind about courtship. Really feel it. Feel it. Pretend you're the one taking someone out. Why would you pay, and what would you expect in return? And the truth of it is, a lot of guys do expect something in return. Why shouldn't they? It's just natural. And now the woman feels, whether he does or not, the woman may feel obligated, or she may be completely blinded to the fact that he expects something. And I was blinded a lot too. I get in my own little bubble because people don't speak up. So guys, it's your responsibility to not pay if you don't want to. It's your responsibility to not pay. One of my sons never paid for dates. And it started changing. I think, in the 2000s, because women have become more financially empowered. So in the younger generation, it's very common that people pay their own way. You know, we're both students, we each pay. We're both going to graduate school, we each pay. We have a partnership. Younger people who want a partnership, they equally pay. And my son was like, I don't need to pay for women. They're going to like me based on my personality, and they'll go out with me because they like me, not because I'm paying. And I want to save for my future. I want to pay off my student loans. I want to save for a down payment for a house. And he's done all that. And he's in a relationship that's an actual financial and emotional, it's a real partnership. And I'm very blessed with I have the best daughter-in-law. And I don't usually talk about my family, but yeah, there's some she just warms my heart. But anyway, back to the point is, he got a beautiful, wonderful woman, and he didn't have to lure her in with paying for her. It's called a partnership. He's just like, I don't pay for dates. I don't have to pay for dates. I think they would do things like get together for ice cream, or I don't know, they just did a lot of fun activities that didn't cost a lot of money. Like, why do you have to spend money on a date? You can just go for a walk. You can go for ice cream. You can play a game. You can go dancing. Okay. Now, the man, why should the man pay? He often doesn't want to. He feels obligated. So it's not authentic. So guys, don't do that. You're putting yourself in that situation by paying if you don't want to. Number two, you probably expect something in return. So you're not really paying. You're manipulating because you're expecting something in return. So you're not giving. You're manipulating. I'm going to pay for the dinner, but I hope I get sex. It's not authentic. So just tell the woman, I don't pay for dates, I go Dutch. Let's just see if we even like each other. Number three, the woman is going to feel helpless. She's going to feel helpless, like, I need this guy to pay for me, and she's immediately in a one down position. The woman is immediately setting herself up to be one down because he's paying and she doesn't have the money. She's one down. And that whole idea of I need a man to pay for me puts her in the very beginning in a one down position, powerless. Because money is power. The ability to provide for yourself or to pay for people is power. That's power. It's your resources. So when you want a man to pay, you're putting yourself in a powerless position, ladies. This is my opinion. I don't see how you have any power there. Maybe you were able to connive him out of money or guilt trip him out of money, but did he really want to pay? Was he like, I am so happy I could pay for you and I expect nothing in return. Just your company is sufficient. He's probably a simp. Only a simp would say that. Because a guy would be like, I'm paying for you. What are you doing for me? Because relationships are giving. But if he's giving, what are you giving? You might as well just be more honest about it and do some kind of like a sex for money kind of a thing. But a lot of women don't want to do that. They're like, well, I want you to pay. I've heard women say, I only go on dates if the man pays. It's very entitled and it's not attractive. The final point I want to make has to do with receiving. This is how I feel. I don't like a man to, okay, when I have sex with a man, I'm receiving. I have to trust him and feel safe to want to have sex with a man. outside of the bookkeeping. That's why I don't hook up. Same as when he pays for me. I have to trust him enough to let him pay. Because when a man pays for me, I'm receiving. I don't know if people realize that. See, there are women who will take. They'll let you buy the dinner, they'll let you buy the drink, they're taking. They're not in touch with their receptive energy. This is just my opinion. I could be wrong. I don't want to judge anyone, but this is what it feels like to me. I can just take from you. Oh yeah, I'll just take this from you. I'm kind of scamming you, like I'll just let you buy this. Or I can receive, and I'm more like receiving because I appreciate the man I'm with. I would only go on a date with someone I like. But I'm still trying to kind of figure you out if I like you, so I don't want to receive your payment. I don't know if there are strings with it, or do you really want to pay? Like, do I want to receive this from you? Do I want to receive this from you? It's the same as receiving your cock inside of me. I'm receiving your cock, I'm receiving your resources. It's receiving energy, and I am still vetting you. I don't know if I want to receive from you because it's if I want to make myself vulnerable in that way. I have gone out with guys where I paid. And they kind of like that. Like, hey, I can pay. It doesn't make us less feminine. I remember going out to coffee with a guy once, and I paid for the coffee. And then this one guy, I actually took him out to dinner. He took me out to lunch, and then I took him out to dinner. And you know what? I felt so powerful after the dinner because I really wanted to pay for him. He's someone that had given me a lot of contributions in terms of my knowledge of what I was studying at the time. And I was very grateful for what he had contributed to my knowledge. So it was just like an appreciation. I didn't want to get anything. I was like, you were so nice to me, so I'm going to pay this dinner. I got this. I felt very powerful for paying, actually. And I didn't expect anything. Now, I think that when people are in a relationship, it's nice to take turns paying. The same as I do with my girlfriends. But here's the thing. If in a dating or romantic situation, you do a one-upmanship with finances or anything, it's not equal anymore. And I think people today are looking for partnerships. The days are gone of the patriarchy, where the man worked and the woman stayed home, and he got sex whenever he wanted, and the woman had no say. You know, it's more of like a partnership now. And money is a huge part of that. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with people who want a traditional relationship. You can do what you want. You can have the guy who pays and the woman who's at home and doesn't earn any money, and she relies on him to be the provider. You can do that. I'm not saying you can't do that. I'm just talking about for myself and what a lot of people today want, and a lot of men don't want to pay, if they're being honest. I would love to hear from the men. I would like to hear from the men. How many of you enjoy paying for first dates and expect nothing in return? Because I don't think that exists. I think if you already know the woman and like her, like I did with this gentleman, you might be like, oh my God, I just really like you. I just really want to take you out. Like, I just want to give you and I expect nothing in return. But that's not how first dates are. You're trying to meet someone and see if you like them or not. So I want to know if the guys actually love paying for dates. Like, oh my God, I'm so excited that I'm going on this date and I get to pay. That might exist. I'm curious. There's also a thing called femdom, which is a kind of a kink where some men love paying for women or being financially exploited by women. It's kind of a kink I'm not that familiar with, but I've heard about it, and they get turned on being financially taken advantage of. When I had my OnlyFans before I got on my Just for Fans years ago, there was a lady on there I followed who was kind of like a therapist even, and she was into the femdom and she made good money with it. And she said it was healing to the men. She found that it was healing to them. I didn't quite get it because I felt like it was taking advantage of someone's trauma or their vulnerability. I don't know. I'm not really that familiar with the whole BDSM and making men be submissive. I'm more into the partnership thing and appreciating the person I'm with. I know there are women who like to tell men, like, their penises are too small, or you can never please me, or send me money right now, or putting their penis in like a chastity thing. Like, I've kind of run across all that. And that's fine if you're into that. It's just not what I'm into. I'm more into, like, I think what the majority of people want nowadays, which is a partnership and knowing I'm not in this relationship for survival. It used to be our relationships were for survival. So the man worked and the woman stayed at home, and it was survival. One person brings in the money, one person takes care of the cooking, the cleaning, the children, and the housework. So it was survival strategy of different roles. But now people want relationships based on love, romance, sex, companionship, friendship, mutuality. They want to find solace in the relationship. And so people are getting a lot more choosy about relationships. That's why I think the marriage rate is way down, because people are saying, I want more than just survival. Do I even like you enough to live with you or go out with you? And when it comes to that, the money thing can really get in the way of figuring out if I even like this person, because now I need them to take care of me, or I like that they're taking care of me, or they're my substitute daddy. Substitute daddy, I'm going to bring up substitute daddy. My daddy didn't pay for me, but I can get this unmet childhood need of my daddy didn't pay for me. I can find this unmet need in a man. And I'm going to call it courtship. Or a man could say, my mommy didn't love me. I'm going to get this unmet need for female affection in the arms of a woman. I'm going to call it dating. And people are coming into dating looking for a mommy or a daddy. And any of these things with the one down, one up puts people in that position like, why should the woman be the nurturer? Because mommy didn't nurture you? Because a man can also be the nurturer. That's called a partnership. When you don't bring your unmet childhood needs into the relationship. Personally, this is how I think of it. I still like a man to have more roles. I like him to be the stronger. And men like doing different things. You know, they want to ride motorcycles and they want to compete in sports and they have more courage and they're usually more like focused and they love to think more about things. Usually, if you're talking about reading books, men will read books on history and they love like Andrew Huberman podcasts and challenging themselves and working on their bikes and fixing things and building. And women generally tend to love to do more like entertaining. And I know maybe I sound sexist, but I think so. And, you know, making ourselves pretty and fixing our hair and wearing pretty clothes. And we're more like relationship oriented in general. I think women generally love taking care of the house more than a man does. Like we do the decorating and we love to do the nurturing with the children. So I still see that we have very different roles. I'm not saying that we're the same, but women no longer are powerless because we're financially dependent on men. And it starts with the very first date. And it's okay to say, you know, I'm looking for a partnership. Now, if the man does earn more than the woman, it makes sense that I would think if you're living with someone, that one person pays more of the mortgage or pays more of the vacations or pays more of whatever. But I'm just talking about early dates, figuring out if you like someone. I think money gets in the way of knowing if I like this person, because how do you know, ladies, that you're not just going on this date because he's paying for you and he's your substitute daddy and you feel safe and protected and loved? How do you know that you really like this guy? I went on a date with this guy a year ago when I was on Bumble, and I just wanted to go for a walk on the beach. I've talked about this before. Because I wanted to know, do I really like this guy if we're just walking on the beach? We're not drinking alcohol. We're not distracted by food. He isn't paying for me. Do I like this guy enough to enjoy his company just walking on the beach? And I didn't. And he didn't enjoy mine either. He cut the date short, in fact. But when you're sitting at dinner and he's paying, that all gets kind of fuzzy. It's like, ooh, it's so nice. He's paying. We're having some wine, Let's do this again. It's the same as when you start with sex. It's like, oh, we're having sex. This is so great. Let's do this again. I think early dates, ideally, are no money spent, no sex, no touching. Just see, am I actually interested in this person? Do I actually like this person? Do I like their energy? Do I like talking to them? Do I like just standing next to them? I think that's what we have to really discover. And at my age now, having been through a marriage and all that, what comes up for me all the time is, okay, I had a great conversation with this guy, and now I'm glad I'm going my own way. I am always curious about, will I ever meet a man where I feel like I would love to keep being in your presence. I really enjoy the conversation. I feel very good in your energy. I would like to continue being in your presence. That has never happened to me with anyone since my divorce, which is why I'm still single. So that's why no sex, no money paid, just do I even enjoy your company? It's the purest form of getting to know someone, like children on a playground. Or how women make friends with each other. Are we even friends? Do we even like each other? And I think a lot of people don't even consider that. Do I even like this person? And if that's what I'm trying to figure out, why should I be fucking them and why should they be paying me? If that's what we're trying to figure out. But maybe you're trying to figure out if you can find some guy who wants to provide for you. If that's what you're trying to figure out, then just go out with men who want to provide. I don't really know how many men want to do that. I don't know. I mean, hey, I'm just making my own videos here, hearing from a lot of men, they feel used when they pay. But I want to, again, I'm curious if there are any men who love to pay, who want to provide. And if you do, are you going to hold the woman captive like she owes you? Like you're going to control her? She can't have, she has to be a virgin and she can't go anywhere without your say. Like, it's a control mechanism, isn't it? Isn't it a control mechanism? Because why would you just pay for her? It's a control mechanism. So that's what I think. But, I always want to hear what you guys think. I want to know what you guys think. And thank you. I threw a lot of different points out there about receiving, expecting, control, power imbalance, daddy figure, looking for a mommy figure, looking for a daddy figure, not being able to figure out if you really like this person. Why are you even dating? What are you really looking for? Do you want a partnership or an ownership? I threw a lot of stuff out there. So whatever you want to comment on, I would love to hear from you. And thank you for watching my video.